All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to another very special episode of Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today on this afternoon that is a bit more dry than yesterday. We've been getting a lot of rain here in the San Francisco Bay Area lately, and we need the rain, we need the water, so that's all good. But today seems to be a bit more dry. That's great. I will probably be doing a Walking with Purpose stream later on this afternoon / early evening. But before we even get to that, I've got some very interesting things to discuss here with everyone today, especially if you've been a part of my community or our community here at the GNA for a while. You'll know a lot of the backstory. If you're new here, try to follow along, try to watch some of the past content and catch up, or just ask some questions in the chat if you'd like, and I'll get to them when I can. But before we get to all that, let me first of all make sure that everything is rolling smoothly. Let me check out the back end of YouTube, and the back end seems to be rolling well. Let me also make sure that the YouTube notification has gone out. It looks like it has, and let me do a sound check. That's all good, but today seems to be a bit more dry. That's great. I will probably be doing a Walking with Purpose stream later on this afternoon / early evening. But before we even get to that, I've got some very interesting things to discuss here with everyone. All right. Everything seems to be rolling well. I only plan on being live for about an hour or so. I've got a bunch of other things to do. I've got to continue focusing on finishing up my continuing education to renew my insurance licenses before the end of the month. I need to renew my licenses before January 31st, 2026. I don't actively sell insurance anymore. I haven't actively sold insurance for many years, but I continue to renew my licenses every 2 years, just as something to fall back on if necessary. And I can also still, talk coverage and go into as much detail as possible if people have questions regarding insurance in being licensed. I'm a licensed property and casualty and licensed life and health agent. I have both licenses. So I can cover pretty much most of the insurance spectrum. Tia's in the house. Hey, how's it going, Tia? Welcome to the show. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out on these in-studio streams. The title of the stream is An Unauthorized Court Recording Surfaced on Mr. J's Live, and this has been reported to the court. One more time. The topic of today's show is An unauthorized court recording surfaced on Mr. J's Live, and this has been reported to the court. So I'm not going to give any recaps or anything because most people that are viewing this here have been a part of the community for a while, like I mentioned a little bit ago. But basically, Mr. J is somebody that I have sued in a circuit civil case in the state of Florida about 3.5 months ago. Mr. J has been commercially exploiting me for 6+ years. He's been harassing me. He's been defaming my character as part of his defamation for dollars campaign. He's used massive portions of my content, well above and beyond what fair use allows you to use. He's done a lot of stuff involving or surrounding me regarding this content. This is what he does to pretty much anyone he talks about. It's just with me, I've been the primary focus of his drama content. Any drama content he creates, he treats everyone else the same way as me. It's just I create content more often, and I also, at times will respond to correct the record and debunk things. So in essence, I guess it gives him more content to, create. That's on him. I have no problem with him or anyone creating content on me as often as they like, as long as they don't violate my copyright, and then as long as they don't defame my character. Excuse me. But anyway, Mr. J also has this lady. We're going to call her Miss T. Okay. People here know who Miss T is. People know who Mr. J is if you've been a part of the community for a while. And Miss T, for the last 2.5 years, maybe closer to 3 years, but she's been fixated on my content for the last 2.5 years and has created similar defamatory, copyright violating type of content on me. With a kicker. Miss T is someone that, in my opinion, likes to play the system. And when I say play the system, she basically uses the court system in many situations out here on YouTube. She uses the court system by filing real court cases on people. And she does that, so she can, use that as her content out here on YouTube. And for the most part, most of the cases that have been filed by Miss T, in my opinion, have been frivolous. Yes, some of them may have had a little bit of underlying merit, or the courts just wouldn't, the courts just would say something. But for the most part, these cases were filed, especially the ones that have been filed on me in the past. She filed a business case on me 2.5 years ago when, she copied my business name because I didn't realize I needed a business license here in Redwood City. She ended up getting a business license here in Redwood City with the same business name as mine, and then basically used that to create an LLC and an incorporation out here in California with the same business name. And then when I actually, when she, copied my, a similar logo as my business with the same name, she changed her main monetized channel back then to the same name as my organization, my company, Genuine Networking Association. And because I had a prior channel that still exists, the original GNA channel has been around since 2015, I basically filed for impersonation, and YouTube took her channel down, rightfully so. She was impersonating me. Just because someone doesn't have a business license, okay, and I didn't even know that I needed one. I ended up getting one. It's not that I was trying to evade getting a business license. I just didn't know I needed one for an internet online, coaching type of personal development type of business, right? And what most normal, decent people, unlike Miss T, would have done is said, hey, just get a business license. They wouldn't have taken that opportunity to try to, exploit some kind of loophole and then create endless drama content off of it throughout the part of filing for it, throughout the part of her channel being taken down for impersonation, throughout the small business case and all that, right? And then when she filed this case back in 2023, okay, at the end of 2023 / beginning of 2024, she tried to file for a stalking injunction on me in the state of Florida. She tried to get a stalking order on me. When it came time to go to the hearing, she failed to appear, so that stalking case was dismissed. And then if we forward 1 year later, at the beginning of 2025 in April, she convinced another lady out here. We're going to call her Mrs. P. Now, there's someone else out here referred to as Mrs. P. It's not that lady. Mrs. P, we're just going to say not her full name, but she's Pat. Mrs. P in this case refers to Pat. Okay? And Pat, Mrs. P, Pat, used to be a part of our community here, and because she thought that she was banned from the channel, which she never was, because, Miss T's and Mr. J's group of people convinced her that I had banned her, even though it was just a YouTube glitch, she ended up switching sides. And I guess took offense to something that never actually happened, right? So Miss T convinced Mrs. P to basically file a similar stalking order as Miss T filed on me 1 year prior in the same state of Florida, because Mrs. P happens to live in Florida as well. Now, when it came time to go to the hearing for the Mrs. P stalking case, now remember, before I got hold on, before I got served, the night before I got served, Miss T, the one who originally filed the stalking order on me and didn't show up, she got a copy of Mrs. P's stalking, petition, and put on her community wall a screenshot of it, of parts of it, that showed the case number and what county, etc. And in the caption of her community posting, she said, "Here you go, Eli. Sheriffs be around to serve you soon." So she was involved in that. I have the proof of that. Okay. And so, again, I got served. No problem. I was expecting it anyway. And when it came time to go to the court case, myself and my girlfriend, Dawn, were on Microsoft Teams. We got approved for remote appearance. We were on Microsoft Teams. We waited a couple of hours, and then our case was called, and Mrs. P failed to appear, and her case was dismissed. And then she posts on her community wall that she had some kind of a doctor's appointment or something. Well, if that was the case, ma'am, you could have, called the court and rescheduled the hearing. But you didn't do that because you know that it was bogus. You know that Miss T pushed you to do that. Now, a few months after that is when I started to take some very strict copyright action against the defendant that runs this group of people, that pretty much is the main player in this drama group of this group of people, right? And Mr. J, I started to file copyright takedown notices, and a bunch of his channels started coming down. And let me remind everyone that Mr. J has been circumventing a YouTube ban for the last 3 years after being shut down on 5 different channels at the same time. He's come back and circumvented his ban. He's been removed many times since then, and he keeps coming back. And over the last year or so, he's been able to evade his ban, whatever. It is what it is, right? Now, hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Hey, babe. How you doing? Tina, welcome. So I filed 2 copyright claims board cases in small claims copyright court. Small claims copyright court is the alternative to suing in federal court. It's an easier process to go through. The caveat is that anyone can opt out of the small claims court within 60 days after getting served, and that forces the case to be filed in federal court. So it's not even really worth it filing in the CCB, which is short for the Copyright Claims Board, aka Small Claims Copyright Court. And because of all of this, his channel's going down and me asserting my copyrights that I have the right to do so, during this time, Miss T, who's also known as the Florida lady, another lady in Florida, right? All 3 of these people involved here, Mr. J, Mrs. P, and Miss T, all live in Florida, right? Throughout this time, and in the previous year or year and a half or so, Miss T and Mr. J were fighting and didn't get along. All of a sudden, they reunite because they've been sharing the same Eli hate audience on me, and they were both like splitting attention. So they figured, why don't we just rejoin forces? This is what I think happened, in my opinion. Why don't we just rejoin forces, right? And work together. And you're dealing with a lot of legal stuff with Eli. This is what I was thinking was going through the head of Miss T, right? And I can help you with that. This is what I'm thinking she was saying to him. This is just my opinion, right? So next thing you know, they start talking online about filing a stalking order on me. The Mr. J, who's the defendant in the circuit civil case I filed on him, was also, in my opinion, convinced by Ms. T to file a similar stalking order that, again, not only Ms. T filed at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, but also a similar stalking order as Miss P, Pat, filed around April, or I believe it was in April of last year, 2025. And now we're looking at June of 2025. And Mr. J is now filing a similar stalking case on me in the same state of Florida. All three of these people live in Florida. All three tried to get a stalking order on me. The first two failed to appear. They got dismissed. When I went to the hearing via Microsoft Teams, and again, you know, actually, I had no witnesses because I didn't need any. Again, I waited on Microsoft Teams for a little bit, and then our case was called. And literally after about 20 minutes, Judge Bowie, who was presiding that case in the Seminole County, Florida courthouse, basically, denied his injunction. Now, let's stop right there. Let's stop right there for a second, okay? Last night, the defendant ended up playing a video clip on his channel. A video clip from a harassment case I filed on Miss T, the Florida lady, that he's now back to being friends with, right? Okay, this was in December of 2024, okay? And in California, most court cases are not recorded. There's no audio or video recorded unless it is prearranged and approved by the court, aka the judge in that proceeding, right? Our laws here in California are different than Florida and other states. Many other states record everything audio and video, and you can purchase, copies of this legally. In California, the laws are different. I think they're trying to change them, but that's what the law is, right? So in that harassment case where I was the petitioner and Miss T, the Florida lady, was the respondent, okay, there was never any audio or video available publicly. The only thing available was the transcript, and I purchased the transcript, okay? Now, so how did that copy surface? And Miss T has been going off in her community wall all day, and so has Mr. J. And let me tell you, I'm going to focus on the facts here. I'm not going to focus on the noise, because everything in their comments section is a bunch of garbage, nonsense noise. A, primarily from sock accounts that are unidentifiable, and B, from a few other people that just can't get enough of their drama. I'm not creating drama. All I'm doing is correcting the record and stating the facts. So I'm not going to waste my time on the noise. That's just nonsense. Let's just stick to the facts here, okay? Let's just stick to the facts, okay? So there was never any audio or video recorded or sold or made available to the public, and there was never any authorization from the judge. In that case, it was Judge Donald Ayub, Judge Ayub, the Honorable Judge Ayub. Judge Ayub mentioned in that hearing he is 70 years old, and he's getting closer to retirement. And he was a pretty tough judge, and I can't blame him. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know if I would have had, a newer judge or younger judge. I'm not trying to be prejudiced here. I'm just saying that I don't know if it would have made a difference. That case was dismissed with prejudice. And was I happy about that? No, but I didn't overreact. I wasn't happy about that because the woman I was trying to get protection from, some of the things that she did and that were also mentioned in my pleadings of the case, in the pleadings, the filing, right? And mentioned in court. One, she made a false wellness check to my house on my lady Dawn and I. And she made that wellness check because about 5 weeks before she made that wellness check, my girlfriend Dawn and I were driving on the way to the Jason Aldean concert at Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View here in the San Francisco Bay Area where we live. And we did a live stream. And, every now and then, sometimes Dawn has a moment and wants me to shut down the stream. And I was trying to encourage her on that stream. Let's not let these people get to us. Let's not shut it down and give them what they want. Let's keep going. And so these people spin everything out of context. They don't see me as what I said to Dawn. Let's just keep going. Let's not give these people what they want. These people know that I'm trying to encourage my lady to not allow these people to bully us into not doing what we want to do with our channel. They spun it as, I was being harmful to my girlfriend. I've never, ever once been harmful to my girlfriend or anyone, period, end of story, right? So, anyway, after that stream, when we got to the Shoreline Amphitheater, we ended the stream, we went to the concert. After that stream, both Dawn and I together, and you could say in the chat, babe, let these people know that this is what happened. We've talked about it, but you can say it again in the chat if you'd like. After that, we decided that Dawn was not going to do any content with me for a while because back then, she was still dealing with a lot of things that she's worked through today. And it wasn't the best thing for her mental health. But the fact that Dawn didn't do any live streams with me for 5 weeks is the justification that Ms. T tried to give the judge, Judge Ayub, in that harassment case where I was trying to get the harassment order on her. That was her justification. I know that's hogwash. My lady knew that was hogwash. Everyone knows that's hogwash. Miss T knows it's hogwash. And Judge Ayub knew that was hogwash. I remember specifically Judge Ayub saying, paraphrased, so why? And here, give me a second here. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. I think I have it right here. Hold on. It's there. Come on, show up. Hang on, give me 1 second here. All right, I'm not able to pull it up right now. I think he said, what reason did you have to send the police to Mr. Melas's home on, I think it was November 1st, right? And she goes, well, we hadn't seen her on YouTube in a little while. Anyway, the judge wasn't buying it, right? And the judge basically said, that he considered that swatting. You see, these people continue to focus on the part where this case was dismissed with prejudice, but they're not talking about what Miss T did and was brought up on that stream. Basically, the judge said that this is considered swatting. This is considered swatting in the state of California, and swatting is a crime, right? Another thing that they keep failing to mention regarding that case is that Miss T tried to subpoena my aunt, my mother, and brother through email and sent them court documents through email, my aunt, my brother, and my mom, without running them through the court first, without getting them signed from the court, right? Now, I got a copy of those from my brother, and I presented them to the judge in the case, and that was never, ever filed in the case by her, right? But it was filed by me, in my response or in another filing, and then I brought it to the judge at the hearing, and the judge looked at them and said, these are unsigned. And then the judge ended up saying towards the end of the hearing that, serving unsigned subpoenas is also a crime in California. It's abuse of process. So let's clarify this, right? And let's also mention why Miss T feels that she's invincible to the law, and why she also feels that her or anyone else will not be held accountable for this unauthorized video that was recorded, on Zoom. We'll get to that in a second. Because, in essence, the judge basically said that she was swatting and that she abused the court process by emailing my family members unsigned subpoenas. She didn't run them through the court. So, in essence, that's breaking the law 2 times. And it's noted in the transcript. I have the full transcript. And it's also in what I believe is the entire screen recorded video that I believe Miss T has. Right? No one's focusing on 2 things where she broke the law. They're focusing on that the case was dismissed with prejudice. Fine, I accepted that. Okay? And the judge dismissed the case with prejudice. And at the end, he said, you reap what you sow, or something like that, right? In essence, this judge, in my opinion, respectfully, Judge Ayub, I don't think he realized that this was not a YouTube beef. This was not a YouTube beef. This was harassment and stalking and all that, with lots of proof, where he called her out on 2 acts that are criminal acts. These are criminal acts that the judge acknowledged, but did nothing about it, right? Because he put it all together and thought that it was a YouTube beef. This is where I firmly believe the law hasn't caught up with the internet yet, right? But, okay, I didn't get the order. Now, the defendant in my circuit civil case, Mr. J, on his stream last night was saying that I'm going to keep playing this clip. I'm going to keep playing this clip. If you continue to talk about the Judge Bowie case and what happened there, I'm going to keep playing this clip. Sir, here's the thing. From a YouTube optics standpoint, and solely, let me make it very clear, don't take me out of context. From a YouTube optics standpoint, you can play that clip all I want. It doesn't embarrass me. I know what happened there. The case was dismissed with prejudice. The judge said, you reap what you sow. I get it. I accepted that, right? Where the problem is that video you played was an unauthorized copy. The court never approved anyone to record that proceeding. They did not approve anyone to record that proceeding. Okay? Now, until the court makes a decision, I can state in my opinion that recording was illegal. And I can also state as my opinion that it was illegally obtained by any party that got it or distributed it, just like it was distributed to the defendant to use on his stream last night. But let's just talk about from a YouTube optics standpoint. Forget about the law for a second. If you go back, Mr. Defendant, Mr. J, Miss T, Miss P, or anyone else, right? If you go back and watch that video of my behavior and my demeanor when the judge said dismissed with prejudice, right afterwards I said, thank you, Your Honor. Was I happy about that? No. Who the hell would be happy in that situation? But I'm in the court of law, and I'm a reasonable, respectful human being. And just because I didn't get my way in the courthouse doesn't mean I'm going to act like a 2-year-old, like the defendant in my circuit civil case, Mr. J, behaved when he tried to get a stalking order on me, regarding the Judge Bowie case. If you want to do a side-by-side comparison of how you behaved, sir, when you were denied your petition against me compared to when I was denied mine against your buddy, Miss T, there's a world of difference in contrast of our behavior. I said, thank you, Your Honor. You played it on your stream. It's in the transcript, and you played it on your stream, right? And I politely walked out of that courtroom and I went home. And that was the end of it. But for you, sir, here's what you did once again, compared to what I did. 20 minutes into the hearing, right? And the video that surfaced on YouTube, I didn't put it out there. That was put out by, let's just call him Mr. R, right? Mr. R. And I'm not saying any derogatory, type of behavior. Mr. R, that's his first name. He's from Louisiana. Mr. R legally obtained a copy. I legally obtained a copy by purchasing it in the state of Florida. Most hearings are recorded, and you can obtain them legally. Now, as far as republishing the whole thing, I don't know what the rights are to that. But the bottom line is that the hearing in Florida had court-authorized copies publicly available. In California, that's not the way it works. But everyone got to see your behavior, sir, right? Everyone got to see your behavior. 20 minutes into the hearing, Judge Bowie said, at this time, I don't see blah, blah. She didn't see stalking. And then you tried to convince her, sir, many times. Then you even said that if you don't give this to me, the respondent's going to go back and start gloating on YouTube. He's going to gloat on YouTube. How childish was that? You try to call me a kid. You try to call me childish. Yet when my harassment case was dismissed with prejudice, I said, thank you, Your Honor. And I wasn't happy, but I behaved like a human being, like a normal human being. When you got denied the first time by Judge Bowie, you started throwing a hissy fit, a temper tantrum, like a little baby having his bottle taken from him. And then you kept trying to convince Judge Bowie to give it to you. And then when you finally accepted the fact that no matter what you say or do, and before you get held in contempt or get escorted out of the courtroom by the bailiff, by Judge Bowie's bailiff, you accepted it. And then you said, can I have my binder back? 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 In that tone of voice. That's what you did. You can't argue that because everyone's seen the video that was legally acquired. That was legally authorized by the court. And here's the thing. I had a witness there that would have witnessed for me if necessary in person. And I'm still not going to tell you who that witness is. I don't have to. And anyone is allowed to show up at a public hearing and see what happens. But that witness saw you storm out of the courtroom. You were there with your parents. And you had said your parents are disabled. And my witness verified that. And you ran out and stormed out through the courtroom doors and to the car, right? Leaving your disabled mother and your father in the dust because you didn't get your way. Another temper tantrum. You know what, sir? Like I've been saying all along, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining, and don't try to paint me as an unreasonable person and spin things way out of context on your streams to try to make yourself appear better to your audience or to the YouTube audience in general. I'm going to compare the contrast between you and I every time, correct the record, and clear my name, which is gonna by default make you look like a fool. Hey Sandra, how you doing? Welcome to the show. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out. Now, what happened after that? You went home. 1 hour later, you went on YouTube and started to complain and say that, the system is messed up, saying that I got away with it and this and that, blah, 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 blah. And then I went and did a live walk. I did a Walking with Purpose stream later that afternoon, and then you rebroadcasted my walk. And then 5 days later, you did a stream where you brought the process server on. Let's call him Twiggy, someone that's been a part of your community. And actually, he was a part of Miss T's community, the Florida lady that you act in concert with, your friend. that you reconnected with after not being friends with her beforehand, right? You brought him on to your stream to show the process server video with audio and video. So, and where I said on that video that I didn't give your process server permission to record me, and he said he didn't need it. Yes, that's true for video, but for audio, it's a two-party audio state, recording state in both Florida and California. So he gave you that video. You played the whole thing. For whatever reason, you played the whole thing on your stream. You brought the process server on. And you commercially exploited that. I did none of that. I did talk about the fact that I didn't get the order, but that's all I did. You make a whole big deal out of everything because that's your content, right? You made a whole big deal out of it because for the most part, you have focused on making me the primary focus of your content to an audience of people that primarily are there for hateful and abusive content on me and defamatory content on me, right? You gave them what they wanted, right? That's why we're in civil court. But additionally, regarding this video, and I'll just be very blunt, I don't give a shit how many times you played that video from a YouTube optics standpoint. I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm not ashamed by it. The case was dismissed with prejudice. I didn't get the restraining order on your buddy, Miss T. The judge said you reap what you sow. The judge saw it as a YouTube beef, which it wasn't. And I guess from what I've learned, I need to be more clear about that. It is not a YouTube beef. And in the circuit civil case, this is not a YouTube beef. I'll make it very clear where the contrast will be seen, right? So here's the thing. If you want to keep playing that entire clip, or if you want to continue and play the whole thing, I'm not embarrassed by it. I basically have filed the entire transcript in our circuit civil case because that's part of the acting in concert situation that I filed, you acting in concert with the lady that I was trying to get that restraining order, Miss T. It's part of the proof, right? It's publicly available in the case. Anyone can see it by going to the Seminole County, Florida website, right? And searching my last name, right? And first name, which I put out publicly because I'm a public figure. I'm not afraid to show my face and use my name, right? So, eat your heart out, sir. I don't care how many times you put that out or anything else out. But here's the thing. You keep putting that stuff out, the more and more you're reproducing an unauthorized court video that, in my opinion, was illegally recorded. But I'm stating it as opinion because until the court rules it illegal, then I'm not going to flat out say it as a fact. But it was not authorized by the court. You know it. Ms. T knows it. Everyone knows it, right? Don't try to paint me in a negative light when clearly if you put my harassment case video that you have, an unauthorized copy of, compared to yours, which is authorized, the one you try to get on me, when you put those side by side, your behavior is preposterous. And mine is cool, calm, and collected the entire way. Right? Mine is cool, calm, and collected the entire way. Right? And any reasonable human being outside of your drama group of very strange people, in my opinion, have seen the contrast and will see the contrast, difference between our behavior. Oh, she did hang him out to dry, GLM, but I'm going to share the truth here. That's coming. I'm going to take a break here in a second. and then I'm going to share the truth. We're at 44 minutes. So here's the thing. I'm going to take a quick break right now. When I come back, I'm going to continue with what I did today to report this to the court here in San Mateo County where I live, and what could potentially happen. And even if it doesn't happen, there are other things. And then I'm also going to briefly review the defendant's stream from last night, Mr. J, the defendant's stream from last night, and how he completely avoided talking about everything I mentioned in my preempt the narrative stream from yesterday, right? And I'll share why. And he knows why, but we're going to publicly put it out there because we can. And we're going to continue to show the difference in contrast between what they're saying I am and who I actually am and how they're coming off, right? So stick around for that. Now, let me cue up some royalty-free YouTube music. 43 in the box. Thank you for being here. Let's see here. All right, music is all queued up. I'm going to step away for a 5, 6, 7, or 8 minute break or something like that. And we'll see you all on the flip side. We'll see you all on the flip side. Stick around. We'll be right back. we're back live. We are back live. And we are just going to scratch it and get right back down to business. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today. I'm going to get right back to it because time is limited and I've got a whole bunch more to say. Got a whole lot more to say. So let's just continue where we left off. Before I do get to that, let me just check out the chat real quick. Sandra, what happened with, we'll just call him Coach J. He hasn't been around. I don't blame him for not being around. He's been a big part in this whole thing. He's the one, in my opinion, that initially pushed Miss T, also known as the Florida Lady, to try to steal my business and then file that business case and do all that stuff back in, what was it, 2023? Like the end of 2023, around that time. And so, I can't blame him for not being around, but what I share here, Sandra will clear it up because I'm going to remind everyone of what actually happened on or during the harassment case that I filed on Miss T, who was actually on the Zoom, right? And who I feel, in my opinion at this point, until we figure it out, but there's only one of 4 people it could be. So we'll share that in just a second. But in the meantime, let me just make sure that everything's still rolling smoothly. Do all that stuff back in, what was it, 2023? Like the end of 2023, around that time. And so, I can't blame him for not being around, but... All right, it's all rolling well. All right, so let's talk more about the unauthorized recording that surfaced on Mr. J's live stream last night. Okay? So, first of all, I'm stating this as opinion, even though I'm pretty certain, but when you're not 100% certain, you state it as opinion. This is my opinion. My opinion is that Mr. J got that video, that unauthorized court recording of the harassment case that I filed against his buddy and partner within his group. That was the respondent in that harassment case. Okay, I was the petitioner, also known as the plaintiff. She was the respondent, also known as the defendant. In harassment or stalking injunctions, in harassment cases or stalking injunction cases, you're known as the petitioner, the one that files the petition, if you're the plaintiff. And as the respondent, you're also known as the defendant. It's called the respondent in those cases, right? Responding to it. Oh, we all know that. You're right, Sandra. You're absolutely right. Okay. I, in my opinion, feel that Ms. T gave Mr. J, the defendant in my circuit civil case, she gave him that video. She did that because Mr. J was trying to paint me as unreasonable, or trying to say that, oh yeah, this is what he said. This is what he said in the stream. He said that your case was dismissed with prejudice. You can't refile. I can't refile up until the day it was dismissed, but I can file a new case after that time if I want to. I've just chosen not to. And then he says, my case was dismissed without prejudice. That means I can refile. Well, go ahead and refile then. I've been telling you that for months. You can refile right now if you want. Why won't you refile? Because you know you're not going to win. Because I've never stalked or harassed you. It's quite the opposite, to be honest with you, in my opinion. Right? So yeah, you want to present me to your audience as being unreasonable because my case was dismissed with prejudice and yours wasn't. Okay? But realistically, that harassment case has nothing to do with you. These are two separate cases, but see, you're combining them together because this whole group of people between you and Miss T and others, and let's just bring up Coach J again, right? All you folks have done for the last several years is try to paint me in a negative light to entertain your audience and to make me look bad in front of the entire YouTube audience, right? So now, in my opinion, I feel that Miss T gave him that video. Who else would have given it to him? Could it have been Coach J? That's a possibility. But I think Coach J wants nothing to do with this. Okay? And I'll share more why in a second. Of course I can file a new case, but I'd have to file that case after. The only thing is that I cannot use any of the past information that I previously filed. It would have to be new information. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go back to that harassment case. The respondent, Miss T, appeared via Zoom. And at the very last minute, she gave the link to two other people as witnesses. I was not made aware of those witnesses in advance. Typically, you have to make all parties in the case aware of your witnesses so you can prepare. But that didn't happen. And I basically, brought that up to the judge, and the judge said, well, they're here now. Honestly, I'm not trying to question the judge. I'm saying normally any witness, you can't have surprise witnesses come up in a case. You have to let the other party know. Maybe I should have asked for a continuance based off of that, but I just wanted to get it over with, right? Regardless, again, to remind you all, there was never any audio or video that was available through the court. There was never any authorized audio or video available for purchase through the court. So the recording that that Mr. J played last night, okay, was obviously screen recorded by somebody that was on the Zoom call. Now, there were three people on that Zoom. One, obviously, was the respondent, Miss T. Another one was Mrs. P, also known as Pat. She's someone that, after that case ended, 5 months later, or 4 or 5 months later, ends up filing a stalking petition on me in her state of Florida, right? And failed to appear, like I said earlier on in the show, and it was dismissed, right, for failure to appear. So do you see this? These are a group of people, primarily in Florida, that have been, in essence, trying to weaponize the court system to try to get me in trouble for things I haven't done, and then to use that as their YouTube content, abuse the court system and the court process for YouTube content. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And even if a judge never states this in any of the cases that are active, including the circuit civil case with the defendant, even if a judge never, ever, ever says this, okay, we all know that's what they're doing, right? And then there was a third person on there. We're going to call her Mrs. A. Mrs. A is the wife of Coach J. Coach J is a guy that, was creating lots of content a few years back with Miss T. And Coach J is also somebody that many years ago, when I used to call my channel on the main channel. This is GNA2 on the regular main GNA channel that used to be called the Grip on Life. He basically formed a Grip on Life LLC in his state as a YouTube prank to try to steal what he thought was my business. That was just a YouTube channel name. That was never the name of my business, right? So Coach J's been involved in this whole thing, and you know, he's the one, in my opinion, that gave Miss T the idea to do what she did to me that I mentioned earlier, right? So you've got 4 players here. You've got Miss T, the respondent in my harassment petition on her, in the harassment case here in San Mateo County, where I showed up in person because I live nearby, right? You have Miss P, Pat, who also tried to get a stalking order on me that was, in my opinion, persuaded to do by Miss T, the respondent in this case. And then you have Miss A, who was on there because she feels that I tried to harm her many years ago in a separate situation that had nothing to do with the case, and I never tried to harm her or anyone. She was dating someone at that time named JB that was creating a lot of vile content on myself and other people. And all I ever said was, hey, when you associate with someone that creates that type of content, you put yourself at risk and you put your kids and everyone else that you know at risk. That's all I've ever said. Right? And then this group of people they've kept on trying to blame me that I paid someone to go across the country to harass her and other people. Nope. It's interesting, Mr. J, defendant, and Miss T, that you both are now friends with that woman I used to be friends with that was getting harassed by JB at the same time I was. And what she did was she listed my name as a third party on that harassment order. And this was all done for the right reasons. And she can attest to that if she wants. She doesn't have to. Ma'am, you don't have to. I respect the fact that you've been staying out of this, and that's much appreciated. It shows that you're a good person. Now, I understand you've had some, different issues to deal with other people. I'm not going to get into that, okay? But the bottom line is she's staying out of this. And I'm going to respect that. But at that time, I was helping her with some gas money and food money and stuff because she was going to do something for the better good. Right? But now they've spun this out of context for years, right? This is clearing the record. So here's the thing. Mr. J, Miss T, you're friends with this woman. And you know the truth. She knows the truth. And that's all that matters. I never, ever tried to harm or harass anyone, including Mrs. A, that is the wife of now Coach J. And then you have Coach J, who's been living with Mrs. A, right? So Miss T, Miss T, Mrs. A, and Mrs. P are on the Zoom. And I'm sure that Mrs. A had her husband in the same room while this was happening, right? Here's what I think happened. Here's how I think, in my opinion, that recording happened. Okay? Who do I think, in my opinion, recorded that, screen recorded that? Well, we can rule one thing out. It wasn't Coach J on a separate phone screen recording it, because had he done that, that would have been a fourth logon, and the court would have seen a fourth person on the Zoom, and they would have asked who's on the Zoom. And they would have just, killed his feet. Right? Do I think it was the respondent, Miss T? No, because she wouldn't want to tie herself to this, if they ever check phone records or anything or digital fingerprints, she wouldn't want to tie herself to this. Do I think it was Mrs. P, Pat, that was on there as well? No, because no disrespect. She's not really that tech savvy. She might know how to screen record, but I just don't think she would have done that. So who do I think screen recorded it? What I think happened was that Coach J set up his wife's phone, Mrs. A, to screen record and to start screen recording before she went on to the Zoom call. So when you screen record something, basically all the phone does is records what's on your screen at that time in the background, and it records the audio as well. It does not show that you're recording to Zoom. It'll show on your phone that you're recording, but she was on Zoom. To us and the court, it just appeared like she was on Zoom. But in the background, I believe her phone was screen recording, in my opinion. Now, on the defendant's stream last night, he showed a portrait version, meaning that it was screen recorded with the phone standing up, because that's how probably his wife, Mrs. A, was on Zoom, right? And on that recording, it also shows courtroom 7B, which that would show on the Zoom. And on that recording, it shows a fixed camera angle towards me. When you're on Zoom, you're going to see the camera in the court, not who else is on there, right? So in the screen recorded copy, it says courtroom 7B, the accurate courtroom. And then I couldn't see what was below that because the defendant he uses StreamYard, and when you show comments on the screen, it blocks what's shown below. But I was looking, and it kind of looks like there were some things blurred out down below there, because that probably was user information of the account that was screen recording it, right? If I had to guess, in my opinion, Coach J set up either that, or I'm sure, Mrs. A, his wife, knows how to screen record, but I'm sure he helped her set it up, right? And assured her that it's not going to come off on the other side and that she won't get in trouble, right? Okay. Nevertheless, that copy has surfaced, right? Initially, last year, shortly after the case, I think it was a week or so, and I still have the stream where Miss T, she played the audio version of what the defendant in my circuit civil case, Mr. J, showed on his stream last night. She played the audio version. Dismissed with prejudice. You reap what you sow. They've been focusing on that for the last, year plus or so, right? This case happened 13 months ago in December of 2024, the harassment case where I tried to get a harassment order on Miss T, right? So what happened? My guess is that it was recorded on Mrs. A's, Coach J's wife's phone, and then Coach J afterwards extracted the entire video of the recording, the unauthorized recording, and then sent that to Miss T. And then Miss T lied on her stream that I still have, lied on her stream when she played the audio only of it. She said that, she got a copy from the court. You lied, ma'am. There was never a copy available. And there was never any audio or video available. It was just a transcript, which I got, right? So you lied about that. You flat out lied. Why don't you admit you lied, right? You're all liars over there. That's all you do is you make shit up for content. You make shit up trying to make people look bad. And then when these people stand up to you and correct the truth, then you have to even amp up your lies and place lies on top of lies on top of lies on top of lies on top of lies. I'm tired of that. That's why I'm standing up for myself. I'm done with all this, right? $50 in the box, making it rain. So I made it clear back then, yeah, that copy was not legally acquired, right? Now, so it's either Coach J / his wife, Miss A, on their end, they screen recorded it, or Miss T screen recorded it. I don't think Miss T screen recorded it. I think it was screen recorded on Mrs. A's phone while she was witnessing for Miss T, and Coach J extracted it from her phone afterwards and sent it to Miss T. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense to you. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense to you, right? So that's how it happened. Now, let's talk about accountability. Both the defendant in my circuit civil case, aka Mr. J, the guy that did the live stream last night, Coach J is a different guy than Mr. J, okay? Okay. There's been a lot of noise in their comment sections, and you know what? It's not even worth talking about the noise, but there are some parts that are worthy of talking about. And between Mr. J and Miss T, that I've been posting about this wildly on their community walls all morning, right? They're both saying that nothing's going to happen. The court's not going to take it seriously. At worst, they'll just make us destroy the evidence and this and that. You're probably right, Miss T, which is why you know how to exploit the court system for content. You've done it many times. And what I'm saying here is 100% truthful. And if you want to sue me for defamation for sharing the truth, I'm ready to rock and roll with you. I am. Because you basically were accused of 2 crimes by the judge in the harassment case. And then because he dismissed the case with prejudice, because he didn't see an immediate threat in us being 2,500 miles away from each other, and he saw it more like a YouTube beef, which that's not what it was. Because he dismissed the case with prejudice, it gives you what do you call it? It makes you feel like you can get away with anything. It makes you feel that because you weren't held accountable when you made a false wellness check to somebody's home, also known as swatting, which is what the judge said, and then unsigned subpoenas, emailing them to my family without running it through the court first. You broke 2 laws there, and because the case was dismissed with prejudice, you felt like I'm invincible. I can mess with the court system. I can use the court system as a weapon against Eli and make YouTube content off of abusing the court system for content. That's exactly what it is, ma'am. That's why you felt invincible, and that's why you still feel invincible. You're probably right. Nothing besides probably the court saying destroy the copies and don't put it out there again will happen, if that. You're right about that, right? Does that make you feel good that you can break the law and get away with it? If you were on the receiving end of this, ma'am, would you feel the same way? Would your content be the same, or would it be different? Would it be like I'm doing, standing up for myself against your hogwash nonsense, right? And same with Mr. J, right? hogwash nonsense, right? So I already understand that. You want to keep talking about that? Probably something won't come out of this and you'll get away with it. You're right. Are you proud of breaking the law and getting away with it? Are you all proud to break the law and get away with it because it's so petty to the court and they lack resources that they wouldn't invest their time on it? See, this is what you, Miss T, and Mr. J do. You push the line with the law. You actually cross the line, but you know where you can cross the line to the point of where the court will just slap your hand, slap your wrist. You'll get no jail time, no fines, and it's like nothing ever happened, right? ODN says 1, TS says 1, right? Right? That's exactly what it is. If you keep living your life that way and keep doing things in that way, eventually it'll catch up to you. And I'm going to share with you folks where it's going to catch up. So as far as Mr. J, there's no jurisdiction to hold him accountable in California. He was not a part of that case. The 3 people that were a part of that case were Miss T, Mrs. P, and Mrs. A, and potentially Coach J, who was there with his wife, Mrs. A, probably involved in the screen recording through Mrs. A's phone while she was on Zoom, right? So, I'm not worried about holding you accountable, Mr. J, through the San Mateo County court system. Let's be very, very clear here. The people that could be held accountable are the other people that were actually a part of the hearing on Zoom. I don't have to mention their names again, right? So I contacted the court this morning. They shared with me how to send the information to the administrative department. And at this point right now, I haven't heard anything back. It was just submitted like maybe 4 or 5 hours ago. And if they get back to me and want more information, I'll give it to them. If not, they might handle it quietly themselves. Or they may choose to do nothing at all. It's all a possibility. It's been reported, and that's all that matters. And now every single one of you that used that video, hey, if you want to use it, I can't stop you. Am I embarrassed by what's on that video? No. If you want to play that entire video over and over and over and over and over again on all your channels, clip it out as YouTube shorts, do all that, do what you got to do. Just know you've been put on notice that this has been filed with the court, right? And this stream right here is my proof that you've been put on notice. But where is this going to matter? Where is this going to matter? So here's the thing, Mr. J. In our circuit civil case, once we pass the motion to dismiss / anti-slap and we enter discovery, and I depose you, or even if this goes to trial and I'm questioning you on the stand, figuratively speaking, it'll be virtual, but, same thing to stand, right? Whether it's through deposition or on the stand at the actual trial, if we get that far. Because it might be settled before that. There could be a summary judgment before that doesn't involve going to a jury trial. There are many ways we can end this, right? But here's the thing. You want to call me like Perry Melas? Remember Perry Mason? You, Miss T, you referred to me as a wannabe Perry Mason, whatever, right? You want to call me Perry Melas? Whatever. Call me whatever. You want to mock and meme me into memes saying Perry Melas? Great. Do what you got to do, right? But here's my line of questioning for you when it comes to a deposition. I'm going to ask you about this. Mr. Blah, blah, blah. Mr. J, I'm not going to use your last name or anything. Mr. J, did you play a clip of a video from a harassment hearing from December of 2024 where Mr. Melas was the petitioner, which is me, and Miss T was the respondent, who is a woman that's been trying to intervene in this case for the last several months. She's a known associate of yours. Did you play a video of that? The only answer you can say is yes, right? If you say no, I've got the proof, then you're lying, right? You'll say yes. My very next question, sir, under penalty of perjury, is going to be, how did you acquire that video, Mr. J? Now, your options are going to be option A. Tell the truth and say you acquired it from Miss T. I believe, in my opinion, it was Miss T that gave it to you. So, you're going to have to, I'm going to ask you, who did you acquire? How did you acquire that video, and from who did you acquire that video? Where'd you get it from? Okay. If you try to be vague, I'm going to ask you to be more specific, right? You can either answer the question truthfully under oath, under penalty of perjury, or you can try to plead the fifth and say, I assert my Fifth Amendment rights, which typically that's more so for a criminal case to protect yourself from self-incrimination. But you can also use the fifth in a civil hearing, but it's a little bit different. But you can assert your Fifth Amendment rights. Are you gonna plead the fifth, which is going to make you look guilty, in my opinion, anyway? So you can tell the truth, which you're going to have to, or you can try to assert your Fifth Amendment rights to try to protect your source, to try to protect them, right? Here's the thing, sir. What I know about people, especially people in a group like this, is that when it comes time to save your own ass, you'll throw them all under the bus, sir. When it comes time for you to save your ass from Miss T, you'll throw her under the bus. When it comes time for her to save her ass, she'll throw you under the bus. Now, that's not what she's going to say now. That's not what you're going to say now. But when it really counts, and this is just an example, when it really counts, and I'm not, there's not going to be any jail time over this. There's going to be no jail time here. But let's say it involved jail time. If it was a matter of you going to jail or her going to jail, you would throw her under the bus. She would throw you under the bus to save going to jail, right? That's what you folks would do. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that these people would throw each other under the bus in a heartbeat to save their ass. There's no loyalty. There's no real loyalty at all. None. Zero loyalty at all. Zero loyalty at all. The reason why it's relevant to our circuit civil case, sir, is because it proves that you and Miss T are completely acting in concert. You continue to do things, sir, that you feel are helping you with your YouTube optics. Same with Miss T. But the more and more you try to perform for your audience, sir, and the more and more Miss T and others in your group try to perform for your audience, the more and more evidence and proof you give me regarding a civil conspiracy and acting in concert for the circuit civil case. Yeah, you're not going to jail, sir. Neither is Miss T. Now, as far as if the court here in San Mateo County looks into who recorded that unauthorized copy, they can hold that person accountable. with jail time, with fines, or both. Now, you're not a part of that, Mr. J, so you are not going to jail, sir. There's no chance of you going to jail. Thank you for asserting that in your comments section, right? Thank you for asserting the obvious in your comments section. I will affirm that or confirm that here. You're right about that, right? But remember, we're in a circuit civil case where I'm looking to show the court a pattern of ongoing and constant harassment and your behavior. This is one other aspect that shows a civil conspiracy and acting in concert. You all know that. You're much smarter than that, Mr. J and Miss T, right? And here's the thing. I'm not reading off any script right now. I'm going to in the next part. And I'll take another break here in a second before I do that. I'm going off the top of my head. I'm ready for this case. I could sit there and, question you folks on the stand, per se, or in a deposition without any script. I know the story in my head. I've lived this shit for so many years because of you, Mr. J, and for the last 2.5+ years, including Miss T. I've lived this. This is in my head, verbatim. I remember the dates and everything that happened, verbatim. So if you want to continue to enrage your audience over this nonsense, you do you. You want to keep playing that court clip with my beautiful bald head and Judge Ayub saying, you reap what you sow, and dismiss with prejudice. And then you hear me say, thank you, Your Honor. You know what? I wasn't happy with the outcome. Who would be in that situation? But I handled it a hell of a lot better than you did, maturely. I said, thank you, Your Honor. I thanked him for his time. That's what you do. And if you're not happy about the outcome, you can always file an appeal. I chose to not file an appeal. The process is the pain in the ass, and it wasn't worth it. Right? So, yeah. That is that. ODN still saying, Mr. Same first name as my mama. You love that. ODN. That's classic, man. I should clip that. I should make a YouTube short on that. I mean, the defendant keeps making caricature YouTube shorts on me, trying to, farm engagement off my name and likeness, even in caricature format. Whatever. I can ignore that garbage. Garbage. Hogwash. I'm going to step away and take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back and go over what happened on the stream last night after I had done my preempt the narrative stream that basically, in my opinion, forced him to go a different route with his strategy. He started playing videos of me, and then he's saying that there's so much, and I may get to that another time. Here's the thing, sir. I've been streaming twice a day to correct the record. I'm 52 years old. Your lady and other people call me old timer. You want to call me old timer? You can call me old timer all you want, but this old timer is out streaming your ass, properly correcting the record within the terms of service and all. You can't keep up with me. You're 40 years old. I'm 52. And I'm not trying to flex anything. I'm just putting it into perspective and saying that you're getting outstreamed to the point of where you can't even keep up with your own lies, sir. You're getting outstreamed to the point of where you can't even keep up with your own lies anymore. You have to course correct in real time, right? My lady puts 1. Thank you, my love. There's quite a lot, huh? And if you keep going, I'll keep correcting. And I'll keep giving you more that's going to back up your log of doing reaction videos to me. Go ahead and do them. Go ahead and do them. I don't have a problem. You know why? Because if you actually talk about the stuff I put out here, you're going to be cementing what most of us already know is true, that you've lied to your audience about or spun out of context just to keep your audience around. Give it up, sir. Okay, ODN, I'll definitely check that out. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out. All right. Before I get to the final part, let me cue up some royalty-free YouTube music. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. All right. Just one more. Music is all queued up. Music is all queued up. I'm going to step away for a short break, and we'll start to wrap this up with the final segment when I get back. See you all on the flip side. All right, we're back. We are back. We are back live. And we are just going to scratch it and get right back down to business. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today. During the break, I went over to check out the community wall of the defendant in my circuit civil case, also known as Mr. J. I also went to check out the community wall of Miss T, also known as the Florida lady. Nothing from Miss T. I guess she wants to stay out of this for right now, at least until she can try to figure something else out on putting out there that sounds crazy, reasonable to her audience or something like that. But the defendant in my circuit civil case put out a posting, a brief posting. I'll address that here at the beginning of the show, or at the beginning of the third segment of the show, which is what I'm trying to say. But before I get to that, let me make sure that we're still in sync. It looks like we are. And let me just make sure that we're still going through. Let me see here. I went over to check out the community wall of the defendant in my circuit civil. All right. So the defendant made a posting saying, "Show me one law that I broke." Really? First of all, I can't show you any of that right now. I won't, but I can tell you. I can tell you not only one law that you broke, but in my opinion, until the court rules, I feel you broke 5 of them. Let's see, sir. An ongoing smear harassment campaign. Harassment is breaking the law. Constantly making false statements as facts. Defamatory statements. Defamation is breaking the law. That's 2. Okay. Oh, let's not forget copyright infringement is breaking the law. Look it up. It is considered breaking the law. That's 3. We're going to be addressing that in federal copyright court. The first 2 we're going to be addressing in the existing circuit civil case, right? Let's also address the fact that you tried to get a fraudulent stalking order on me. You accused me of stalking, right? Okay. So you falsely accused me of stalking. That may be considered breaking the law, but that is not true. That's why you're being sued for malicious prosecution. So that could be breaking the law, but it's a false accusation. In my opinion, it's breaking the law. We're going to find out in the circuit civil case. That's 4. Number 5, abuse of process. You used the same process server that your buddy Miss T used in the business case against me, and you used him to be able to record video and then take that video and then play it on your streams, and then you bring the process server on and you commercially exploit that. Commercial exploitation, sir, and abuse of process. That's 6. We got 6, right? I forgot about commercial exploitation, right? How much more do you want me to go, sir? The thing is, sir, you have never been held accountable for this, okay? There have never been any allegations filed against you regarding, in my opinion, what are law-breaking activities. That's why we're in the circuit civil case. And that's why we're also going to go to federal copyright court once my 3 certificates are approved and mailed back to me. Oh, and by the way, the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, I keep failing to mention that. The Don and Eli Take on the World podcast copyright certificate has been approved. Oh, I can show you this. It doesn't matter. Here, let me do this. See this here? I don't care. I mean, you know, it has my information there. Look at that. The U.S. Library of Congress. Let me show you. It's screwing up with my green screen, but you see that? See that right there? It's been registered. Certificate of registration. And more are coming. I have the right to protect myself legally, and I'm going to keep doing that. Oh my gosh, the dogs are going nuts. I think Dawn went to go do some laundry. Hold on. All right. So the thing is, sir, no one's ever... Oh, actually, correction, sir. Correction, sir. You did break the law. I forgot to mention, a restraining order was successfully granted for a woman that you made a death threat on. That's breaking the law, sir. You put out postings before you even think about things, sir. And the bottom line is, this is all public information. And this can all be verified. And everything has been filed in the circuit civil case. Right? Now, one has been adjudicated, which is the harassment order you've had on you for the last few years. It's a 3-year harassment and stalking order. Right? So, for you to come out and say that, sir, I don't know, maybe you're trying to save face, that's on you, right? But put a 1 in the chat if what I just said makes sense. Listen, sir, I'm going to tell you honestly right now, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, do I really feel that deep down within that you're a bad person that wants to break the law? No, sir. Sir, you are a YouTube performer. You are a YouTube actor that does some pretty crazy stuff, that rides lines, skates lines, and also crosses lines. And you try to balance that, you know, in a way to where even if you come close to breaking the law or you actually break the law, that it's something that the courts probably won't take any action on because they see as petty, sir. You dance the line. You dance the line pretty hard, and so does Miss T. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that, because that's the truth, right? I think it's time for you and people in your group for a complete revamp of your content strategy if you don't want to continue to deal with the legal system, because it's just going to keep happening if you keep doing it. That's the bottom line. It's time to move on from your fixation, especially your fixation of me. And by the way, ODN, I saw a picture of Chaz, and wow, that is hysterical, man. The resemblance is crazy, man. Crazy. Let me make sure if anything. Let me make sure if it's going out. Actually, sorry. Chat if you agree with that, because that's the truth, right? Okay. Let's talk about the defendant's stream last night compared to my correcting the record / preempting his narrative. I went live a few hours, like 3-4 hours before he did. What you're seeing in this transcript is classic selective engagement plus bandwidth limits plus narrative risk management. 1, he admits he's not keeping up. He tells his audience there's a lot to get through and that he won't get through all of it. Too much to keep up with, sir. Too many streams, too many correcting the record streams that are on point and basically completely debunk and prove everything you're saying about me for the most part is either not true or highly exaggerated or taken out of context. Hold on a second. I muted for a second because the dogs are playing and they're very loud and they're very distracting. I asked Don to just calm them down a little bit. All right, we should still be going through here. Okay. TSS 1. He tells his audience there's a lot to get through and that he won't get through all of it. That's not just filler. It's a pre-excuse that gives him cover for skipping the parts where you landed clean hits. Exactly. When you're streaming twice a day, you're essentially forcing him into a choice. Respond to the strongest points, harder, higher risk for him, or grab easier clips and stay in performance mode, lower risk, easier monetization. He chose the second. That's what you did, sir. You played clips of my stream from the other day. There's probably been, 6 or 8 or 10 other streams. You can go through all of them if you want, sir, under fair use if you want. Number 2, he avoids your correcting the record stream because it is structurally dangerous for him. Your correcting the record format creates clean, timestamped, falsifiable claims. If he engages directly, he has to either rebut specifics, risk getting pinned into inaccuracies, or ignore specifics, looks like dodging, or escalate bad optics plus create more quotable admissions. So he pivots into personality attacks, engagement flexing, and I'm not worried about legal talk. Wonderful. Meta arguments about you talk too much, you never predict, etc., all non-responsive. That's not a coincidence, it's a protective move. How about you review my stream from yesterday, sir, and answer all the questions I put out there? You could do it under fair use, sir, small excerpts, right? Number 3, he replaces substance response with a content treadmill. He literally frames it as he's going to respond to various clips and maybe later he'll cover more streams. Maybe. If those streams don't debunk and prove the opposite is true of what he's putting out there, right? And he's embarrassed to actually do it. That turns your output into his episode backlog. This is a tell. Your volume is beating his spin capacity. When he can't win the substance fight, he wins the programming fight by always having more to cover. Always promising next stream. Keeping his audience fed while staying vague. Number 4, he's trying to collapse the frame into you being obsessed to neutralize your credibility. That's funny. Repeatedly, he pushes the theme, if you're really distressed, why talk about me? That's a narrative trick. It is not an argument about truth. It is an argument about how a plaintiff should behave. I'm not going to sit here and let you destroy my reputation while we wait for court hearings or the court to decide the fate of this. Notice the move. He wants the entire dispute judged by a single heuristic. If you talk about it, you can't be harmed by it. That's all you have to say, sir. So if I'm talking about things to defend myself, my honor, my reputation, and from your lies, then I can't be harmed by the things I'm saying you're harming me on. or correcting more lies that affect my reputation, and I want to correct it in real time to show people out here who I really am, not what you say I am. That's why he avoids engaging your corrections and instead attacks the idea of you correcting anything at all. So you attack the idea of me correcting anything at all, not the actual corrections. Boy, you're really smart, dude. You have got to be a genius of learning how to flip things into how you want to spin them to your audience and how you want your audience to perceive you, not what's really happening, man. Wow. Number 5, he's also doing permission theater to sand down your copyright strike leverage. He repeatedly says things like, restream me. I won't strike you. No, thank you. I'm not interested. I changed my mind. I can change my mind as often as I want. And tries to paint strikes as your game. It's not a game. It's asserting my copyright. That's all it is. Even if he means it, strategically, it does two things for him. Reframes enforcement as petty drama, not rights enforcement. Sets up a future, see, he's the censor line if you enforce later. It is PR, not substance. You're trying to protect your longtime narrative of what you've painted me as. At the same time, you're trying to protect the image that you've portrayed and led people to believe is who you really are, when all you're doing is acting, sir. I firmly believe that your behavior on YouTube is not who you really are. But that's what you're trying to continue leading your audience to believe, right? But here's the thing, sir. This is not about who you really are. This is about what you do on the platform that does affect people. If you pretend to be a piece of crap, sir, then that's how people are going to see you. That's how the courts are going to see you. You can't just go to court and say, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy, I'm only pretending on on the tubes. I'm only pretending this is not who I really am. So all the stuff I've said about Eli is just my online pretend persona. So you can't hold that against me regarding defamation, abuse of process, malicious prosecution, and IIED, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Doesn't work that way, man. It's time to snap out of it. Become more of the real you. Become more of the real you. Start being authentic, first of all, to yourself. And show your audience who you really are. And tell your audience for once, you know what, I'm tired of this drama stuff. I'm tired of it. You know, I'm withdrawing. It's over. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I really don't think you want to deal with it, sir. But the bottom line is you're still doing it because it's making you money. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. Number 6, the ChatGPT says your defective segment is him outsourcing authority. He puts ChatGPT in the role of neutral judge and reads a long fair use argument to his audience. Now, I didn't see that part. I ran the transcript. That's not him responding to your stream. It's him building a confidence narrative for donors. The prognosis is not good for Eli. I'm going to win. It's weak/defective. This is performance reassurance, not engagement with my claims. Number 7, bottom line. Your twice a day cadence is working. Your observation is on point. It is getting harder for him to keep up, so he's defaulting to easy clips, insults and vibes, broad generalities. Broad generalities. Broad generalities. He's generalizing, man. And there's so much more framing. That's what people do when they're losing the precision fight. To sum this up, I did a correcting the record stream yesterday. Notice the response wasn't to the substance. It was to older clips. Well, they were like from earlier on in the week, right? Same thing. And broad character attacks. What's new with him? That tells you something. Correcting the record forces specifics. And specifics are harder to spin, especially when you file it with the court. It's a public document. Now, I also fed ChatGPT my transcript. And so now, with both transcripts now in hand, we can be very precise. What you observe is not just your impression. It is structurally and strategically evident in the text. Below is a deep, evidence-anchored analysis of what happened, why the defendant avoided your correcting the record stream, and what that means going forward. I'll keep this grounded in the transcripts themselves and avoid speculation. Wonderful. These correcting the record streams really, really clearly show hypocrisy at its finest and show that this guy is just a YouTube performer. Nothing wrong with that. Just perform in a law-abiding way. Don't defame someone. Don't harass them, right? Don't violate their copyright and other stuff as well, too. Number one, the defendant explicitly reframes your correcting the record format as illegitimate, then avoids its substance. So, on one hand, man, you're saying that my correcting the record format is not legitimate, but then you avoid correcting its illegitimacy. Sir, you can't have it both ways. If you're going to say it's not legitimate, then say why. And be specific and target every specific section that I've talked about and debunked that you initially put out there in a different way. Throughout the defendant's stream, he repeatedly asserts a false dichotomy. The court is for correcting the record, not YouTube. The court is for correcting the record, not YouTube, is what he says. Okay? Here's the thing, sir. If I didn't correct the record on YouTube, you would keep on smearing me, defaming me, harassing me, putting things out there that aren't true, and everyone would think that what you're saying is true because they're not hearing from me. The reason why you said that, sir, is because what I'm doing is working. It's working. And it should work because it's the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. This line matters because it functions as a preemptive disqualification of your entire correcting the record stream by declaring that no YouTube correction can be legitimate. This guy's out of his damn mind. By declaring that no YouTube correction can be legitimate, he gives himself permission to ignore the content without rebutting it. Why don't you rebut everything that I said in my stream yesterday under fair use? Clip out a 5 or 10 minute section and do it. Do it for all the streams under fair use. Do it the right way. Notice what he does not do. He does not address your specific corrections. He does not dispute timestamps. He does not quote the portions you corrected. He does not reconcile your explanations with his prior claims. Avoidance plus reframing equals narrative containment, not engagement. One more time. Avoidance plus reframing equals narrative containment, not engagement. Translation. When someone calls you out on what you're actually doing, rebutting it would prove that and make you look really bad in front of your audience, right? Which is why you're not doing it. Do you not think your audience is watching this? Do you not think everyone involved in this community that's been dealing with you and what you've done to me for years knows? Do you not think that? Number 2, he substitutes older or easier clips to maintain a response illusion. The defendant repeatedly says there is a lot to get through. We mentioned that in the last part, but we'll say it again. And that he may cover other streams later while choosing to focus on different content than correcting the record stream that preceded his broadcast. So basically, I stole your thunder. I stole your thunder of lies by saying the truth before you could spin the lies on your end, right? In my opinion, that's what happened, right? This is a classic selective engagement strategy. Acknowledge volume to excuse omission. Respond to safer material. Promise future engagement that never fully arrives. Your increased cadence twice daily streams outpaces his ability to spin, forcing him to triage. Yeah. Let's see here. Number 3, you're correcting the record stream raises his risk profile. Compare the structures. Your stream from your transcript. Itemized points. Explanation of quotation mark risk. Transcript fidelity. Attribution errors. Clear identification of misquotes. Calm, analytical tone. Well, sometimes I amp it up a little bit because I want people to feel what I'm going through. His stream, character attacks, monetization talk, audience validation, $100 tonight, making it rain. He copied that from me. Broad claims of ignorance or stupidity. No line-by-line rebuttal. Engaging your stream would require him to either admit error, correct filings, or double down on misquotation with higher evidentiary risk. So he avoids it. Oh, good for you. Apparently, you know when to say when, right? Apparently, you know what to respond to and what to not, right? You're not going to respond to things that, even if you try to debunk, it's going to make you look worse, right? Than just not saying anything at all, right? Smart move, man. Start making more smart moves by not doing this garbage in the first place. And then everything will turn around for the better, right? Number 4, he tries to collapse the dispute into you talk too much equals no harm. The defendant repeatedly pushes the idea that if someone is harmed, they would not speak. Why would you keep addressing, why would I keep addressing him if he gave me emotional distress? Because I want to protect my name from any further tarnishing from you. Bottom line, I have the right to do that. It's not going to affect my case at all. This is not a legal argument. It is a rhetorical silencing move. You're trying to silence me while you're saying I'm trying to silence you with the anti-slap in the case. You're a hypocrite, sir. You always have been. It attempts to redefine injury as silence. Convert your self-defense into evidence against you. Shift the burden from truth to demeanor. Your correcting the record stream directly defeats this because it shows purposeful, restrained response. Focus on accuracy, not insults. I'm not insulting you, defaming you, harassing you, or anything. I'm correcting the record. Evidence-based corrections. Again, avoidance makes sense for him. Number 5, he replaces rebuttal with authority, outsourcing, and spectacle. Instead of addressing your points, the defendant reads generalized ChatGPT arguments. Talks about hypothetical future filings. File whatever you want, sir. I'll analyze them. If I have to correct them publicly, I will. If not, then we'll deal with them in court, sir. File whatever you want, play whatever you want, do whatever you want to do, and I'll do what I have to do. It's the way it works, sir. Uses parody threats. Another courtroom skit. Ooh, more parody courtroom skits from the defendant. More caricatures of me coming soon, right? And later on down the road, he's gonna make the full-blown version of a short he made yesterday regarding Coach Killer coming soon, right? This is the big one. Leans heavily on audience affirmation. You want pats on the back from your audience, sir. I don't ask my audience for pats on the back. I ask them for their opinions. I don't need a pat on the back from anyone, sir. You, sir, need a pat on the back all day, every day. That's a major insecurity. I don't have that, sir. This is confidence theater, not dispute resolution. When someone has a strong rebuttal, they rebut. When they don't, they perform. So you amp up the performance, sir, because you cannot respond to the truth. Right? Is that how you've lived your life? Not just on YouTube, but the real world. You're a performer, man. Wow. Number 6, your volume is forcing strategic degradation on his side. Your insight here is correct. I've been streaming twice a day, and it seems like it's getting harder for the defendant to keep up. That's exactly how I feel. You're being outstreamed, sir. You're being outstreamed. Out-YouTubed. You're being out-YouTubed by a guy you call the C-U-C-K-O-L-D. You're being out-YouTubed by a guy that you say is an old fart, by an old-timer. Like your girlfriend says, by a 65-year-old man that's actually 52, right? You're being out-YouTubed. You're being out-walked every day with the exercise, right? But now you want to come off and say like, oh, yeah, I'm better than Eli at everything, right? And I'm not here to compare, but you are. And I think, honestly, there is some truthful aspects of you trying so hard to appear better than me because it makes you feel better, in my opinion, in your real life as well, sir. You need the validation of the YouTube people along with making me look bad to keep yourself feeling good about yourself, sir. That's really, really, God, man, that's pathetic, man. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic. The transcripts show he acknowledges overload. He generalizes instead of responding. He escalates insults. He leans more on monetization signaling. He promises future engagement instead of delivering present rebuttals. If I have something to say about today, I'll say it right now. I'm not going to wait until the future. That is bandwidth failure, not confidence. Number 7, the key conclusion, and this is very important. The defendant did not avoid your correcting the record stream because it was weak. He avoided it because it forced specificity. It exposed quotation mark and attribution risk. It neutralized it neutralized the he's unhinged narrative. It created a clean record he couldn't safely distort. Avoidance was the rational move for him. Yeah. And to wrap this up, I did a correcting the record stream yesterday. You'll notice the response wasn't to the substance of that stream. It focused on other clips and character attacks instead. That's usually what happens when specifics are harder to spin. Now, before I go, Still nothing from the Florida lady. Interesting. Let me see. He put on another video. He's got a video of him in a plaid brawny shirt like the one that he wore in the stocking case with Judge Bowie, and then he's got a picture of his supposed internet girlfriend. Right, 64 views 1 hour ago. What's this doing for you, man? What's it doing for you? Right? Give it up, man. The jig is up. It's over. And it'll be further proven in court. I mean, I'll tell you, sir, the more and more you keep going, the more and more I'm going to continue to correct the record and protect my reputation. And eventually you're going to see a lot of audience fatigue on your end. My audience is here because they've been dealing with the same thing with you and others in your group for years. And my audience will be here until however long it takes to resolve this. It's been proven that you cannot keep up with me. And I'm not even trying to say I'm any better than you. I'm not saying I'm any better than anyone. But you can't even keep up. If you say you can keep up, then prove it. If not, then back off, move on. We'll handle this in court. You keep coming at me publicly, I'm going to keep defending myself publicly, and I'm going to continue to correct the record minimum 2 times a day. And I'm still getting everything else done. I'm ready for the hearing in February. I'll be ready for the hearing in April. I will still have energy to file the federal copyright case when I get the certificates. If you think that this is wasting my time and energy, no, I've got a lot of energy, more than you even think or know. You want to keep playing your games? You want to keep performing over the top, way over the top performing? That's on you. Until you stop that performance, unless you completely, wipe me out of it, you have the right to talk about me, but if you keep doing it, I'll keep on defending myself. You want this to stop? Then you stop. Plain and simple. We are at 2 hours and 22 minutes. Let me see here. Let me just check something out real quick. Let me see. He has 7 comments in him saying to make him aware of a law he's broken. Let me explain to you, Jody. You keep talking about me. And here's the thing. There are civil laws and criminal laws, right? Typically, civil laws don't get you jail time. Criminal laws do, right? Just because something is civil doesn't mean it doesn't break the law. Breaking the law can be civil as well. Defaming someone is against the law. Do you people, do me a favor here, folks. Put a 1 in the chat if you think they're trying to say that in civil cases, it doesn't involve breaking the law. That's what they're saying. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that defamation is breaking the law, because you can look it up yourself. If it wasn't breaking the law, then why would people sue for it? Defamation is breaking the law. Abuse of process is breaking the law. harassment is breaking the law. Yes, if you violate, if a protective order is issued, you could potentially face jail time, but typically they'll fine you first. And eventually they can fine you and jail you. Really? Really? Come on, Jody. I'm sure you're a decent person. Why are you wasting your time with this garbage nonsense when you know it's easy to debunk even live on the fly? I don't even have to look this up. I can go off the top of my head. I'm not accusing you, sir, of anything you haven't done. You have defamed me. There's proof. It's filed in the court. You have harassed me. It's been a targeted campaign for years. There's proof in the court. You have violated my copyright. There's proof of that. It will be filed in the copyright case. There's proof. I have proof of everything. Where's your proof? Where's your proof that I embezzled money? Where's your proof that my business is fraudulent? Where's your proof that I've ever broken the law? You have none. None exists. I haven't come anywhere remotely close to violating you or anyone. So stop it. Stop reframing the narrative in a way that enrages your audience. That's all you're doing is reframing the damn narrative because you have nothing else. You won't even give yourself any credit that you can do better than reframe the narrative that you know is true, but because the truth hurts when you're called out on it, you have to reframe it and flip it, right? That's all you do. Reframe and flip. Reframe and flip. Reframe and flip the narrative, right? Right? That's your YouTube strategy, sir. Maybe you aren't that way in real life, but that's how you behave out here. That's how you want people to see you, especially on your end. One. That's funny, ODN. He would be the perfect person to play the role. Let me see here real quick. Let me ask you, Dusty. And you have a video of mine up. I never flagged it down. The copyright match tool picked it up. I believe that's you. No, that's not you. That's somebody else. I remember you now. You used to be a part of us over here. Give me a second. So I'm grasping at straws. Defamation is not breaking the law. Harassment isn't breaking the law. Copyright's not breaking the law. Are these people dumb? Really? And they're saying that Chaz is trying to look, she's saying Chaz is trying to look like Mr. J, not the other way around. Look at these people, man. This is funny. In real time, they're trying to pat each other on the back. They're trying to validate each other that this behavior is normal within this little group of some of the weirdest and strangest people I've ever come across. The insecure, immature, unstable people that cannot stand when they're called out on the truth. And Jody, I'm not continuing to run my mouth. I'm standing up for what's right. How's that any different than what your boy over there is doing, Mr. J? I'm just doing it in a more professional and reasonable way. Showing Judge Stacy how I continue to run my business into the ground. People are support. How many of you are supportive? Put a 1 in the chat if you support the GNA. If you support me, you support the GNA. Put a 1 in the chat. Now, we don't have a whole lot of active people, but we do have a good crowd of people, and there are more people coming here every day. And Jody, you're saying that my brain's not wired right? That my thought process is like a toddler? How about, Jody, why don't you go and put out a YouTube video or go on a panel with Mr. J? You're watching me, Jody. Here's the thing. You're watching and you're listening to what I'm saying. You're taking time out of your busy day to tune in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. No, you're right, ODN. He's always looked like that. You're right. Anyway, 2 hours and 30 minutes. I got to go. I'll be walking within an hour or so. Love you all. Have a good one. Oh, babe, your quote. Your quote. I'm sorry. Your quote. Get your quote in. I forgot. I love Dawn's quotes. We cannot leave until Dawn does her quote. Ever. In every show. It would not be the same. And I mean that. I think this show today pretty much sums it up. I really hope I don't have to do another in-studio stream tomorrow to talk about this stuff. I really hope. I want to focus my time and energy working on some other things. And that is that. Senator Palacio says, they don't like you running your mouth because you are throwing truths out there. Yeah, they don't want the truth. But the truth shall set them free. The truth shall set anyone free, Sandra. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally, Dawn says in her quote, an illegal court recording doesn't expose the system. It exposes the person breaking the law. I believe this has gone too far, and now others are at risk. One more time. An illegal court recording doesn't expose the system. It exposes the person breaking the law. I believe this has gone too far, and now others are at risk. Yeah, thank you, Sandra. Sandra says, see you all soon. Good show, says Tia. Thank you so much. Walking with Purpose stream will be coming up in about an hour, maybe a little bit more than an hour from now or so. Thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much for your support. All I'm going to say is just before I go, I really wish things could be different. I do care about all people in general. I do care about all people, including the people from that other group. I feel really saddened at the rut they're stuck in, at the loop they're stuck in. But it's a choice. You're all choosing to be stuck in that loop. It's not healthy. It's very toxic. It's not truthful. A lot of those people over there are living a lie. That includes you, Mr. J, the defendant. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, has all of this been worth it? There's more to life than money. You seem to value everything based on money. That's your problem. That's your biggest problem. Anyone that is 100% money focused and not purpose focused is going to have a distorted view of reality, especially if what they do to make money is in the same way as the defendant has been doing for years. ODN says, thanks, Don, Tia, Sandra, and everyone. See you all, says Sandra Palacio. Sandra Palacio, their reactions are defensive. Some are walking up. Some are waking up over there. Some are waking up. And more are going to wake up, trust me, because there's more to come. if this dude keeps going, if he keeps going, court or no court, doesn't matter. I'm going to stand up for myself, stand up for the GNA, and just stand up for what's right. You're welcome, Odian says Tia. With that being said, have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other. Be good to each other. And be good to each other.